How do you avoid the temptation of rushing through certain parts of your presentation because you want to be seen as succinct and brief? Meanwhile, you're no longer as clear to people. Well, keep in mind, your speech should change in speed and tempo. There should be a variety. It shouldn't be, I'm now speaking to you in a professional tone throughout that's very consistent. No, you don't want consistency. But when you do occasionally rush, it needs to be to make a point because you're really excited about something. Not because, okay, this is a whole bunch of boring facts. I got to get through this quickly before we get to more good stuff, which I know you've seen people do. Do not rush through stuff. Anytime you're rushing to get through a presentation, what you're really doing is sending a message to people. Hey, everybody, you're not very important to me. The collective, if there's 60 of you, the collective 60 hours of your time wasn't worth me spending a few minutes in advance rehearsing to make sure I got my timing right. Now, how do you feel about it? Well, I just told all of you, I don't respect you. I don't respect your time. Most people reciprocate it. They're saying, he doesn't respect me, I don't respect him. They're not going to listen to you. They're going to tune you out. They're going to form a negative perception of it. So anytime you're speaking a little faster than normal, it needs to be on purpose. There needs to be a real reason. And the reason cannot be, oh, I got to hurry up because I didn't plan this. I didn't plan my timing right. And this stuff is boring stuff. So let me go through it. If it's boring, don't talk about it. If it's not as important as other stuff, leave it out of your presentation. Email it to people. Give it as a handout. Don't spend people's valuable time talking about it quickly. Because when your audience gets the sense that you're just going through the motions, they're going to go through the motions of pretending to listen to you, but really they're daydreaming about the rest of their day. They're thinking about, what am I going to do this weekend? And if they're not in the front row, or if they're watching you online, they're not even looking at you. They're looking at their cell phone, other things that are more interesting to them. All of a sudden, instead of hearing your words, they're hearing wah, 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 like a cartoon character. And that is no good for anyone. Look, I understand the drive, the goal to be brief, because we've all sat through meetings and presenters where they went on and on and on, really long and really boring. So yeah, if it's a choice between being long and boring and being brief and boring, yeah, it's better to be brief and boring. But that's not the real choice. You always have a choice to be interesting, to make your ideas come alive for your audience, to be interesting for them, useful to them, memorable for them. If you do that, no one will care how long you are most of the time. People would much prefer someone to be incredibly interesting and memorable and talk for 15 minutes than someone who is succinct, quick, but rushing and boring and talks for 3 minutes. So do not worship at the altar of being succinct and brief. You should instead be worshiping at the altar of, how can I be interesting? How can I be useful? How can I be memorable to my audience? If you do that, time will typically take care of itself and you won't have to rush. But far and away, the most important factor in this is if you want to speak in the right speed and change your speed, you need to rehearse. Now you understand, you can't rehearse and spend 3 hours preparing for a daily 5-minute staff meeting. I understand that. I'm not asking you to do that. But some presentations are more important than others. You know which ones they are. Whether you're pitching investors, whether you're pitching a board of directors for a whole new direction of the company, whether you're pitching yourself for a new job. Some presentations are more important than others. If you are defending your division's expenditures for the last year and you're trying to get your budget approved for everything you want to do next year, that's an important presentation. And that's where you got to make a choice of, I'm not going to tell them every single thing I did line by line over the last year. I've got to focus on what's most important. Because if you try to tell people everything, that's when you find yourself rushing and talking faster and, oh, I got to go this. Apologies, I'm going to run out of time. I don't have much time. And you're wasting time. Speaking of time, don't ever talk about time when you're giving a presentation. Don't ever say, I realize I don't have a lot of time. I realize my time is about up. I was just told I didn't have as much time. I was just told I have 5 minutes less than I thought. Don't waste time talking about time when you're giving a presentation with people. Instead, simply use the time for maximum benefit for your audience. Yes, you got to think about the time. It may be annoying to you if you were told you have 20 minutes to speak and the last second the organizer says, hey, we're running short. Wrap it up in 10 minutes. I understand that's annoying to you. Guess what? Nobody else cares. Don't waste time talking about your concerns. Poor little me, I was told I had this amount of time, now I have less. Instead, use every second for maximum positive impact for your audience. Everything out of your mouth needs to be geared towards helping your audience understand something new and useful and interesting to them, and to remember something new, interesting, useful to them. And you need to do it with the right varying speeds, never rushed because of time. If you want to be more successful, then improve your communication skills. The best way to do that? Smash the subscribe button right now.